So Anurag, you will be telling me what is this about this program that you have applied, which is livelihood and social entrepreneurship. Uh, Tell me what you understand by this program.
About livelihoods and social entrepreneurship. Mm, this course basically it will educate me about livelihoods analysis. I mean, the various kinds of low level, low income occupations that exist across sectors. It includes essentially an analysis of household assets, strategies, priorities at the household level, and also will educate students about the institutional policies that affect that affect them, these vulnerable community with vulnerable occupations at macro levels.
And
Will tell us about how these entities exist in terms of the NGOs, the government ministries, and how they're proper interlinking across the levels that they operate within, from the grassroots to the policy levels is important. This course also it runs through the various aspects of establishing business ventures also in a way that empowers the community to take up operational roles upon themselves aimed at enhancing their income levels, which lead to greater social recognition and financial freedom.
okay, so let's take a hypothetical situation that you have been placed to a region where the land is very arid. There is no much agricultural output is there, and even whatever the agricultural land is, that has been divided among lot many of people. The burden on land on that land is very high, and no other resource uh, exists there under their control or their use. So in that area, if you'll go, what will be your approach to create livelihood?
Can you repeat the question again? It's a land, but a lot of
Matlab,
people.
you have been placed in a region where the land is not that productive, that is very
Okay.
arid, dry,
Hmm.
and there are no other resources which are under the control of people, and even those land which are there in and there in which can give some agricultural output, burden on that land is very high. Lot many people are dependent upon that. So the livelihood situation is very harsh. Matlab, people are not earning much. So in that reason, what would be your approach to create livelihood, or to intervene so that you can improve the livelihood situation there?
So I could approach this situation with a long term. In I would approach this situation both in a short term and a long term way. Like in a short term, I know it's a problem of land degradation, a land which is known to not be fertile, a land which is known to the people that it won't bear any agricultural or anything or any agricultural output in the near future. So in a short term, I would try to relocate or rehabilitate them to other places. For example, in adjoining urban areas and adjoining semi-rural areas, provide them with additional income, additional livelihood opportunities there within the small businesses in the city, in the adjoining areas which might have opportunities like that. In the long term, I would try to coordinate with the local bodies that operate within that area. I would try to get them suitable irrigation facilities, try to enhance their land output through irrigation. Mm, yes, that's the immediate solution that comes to my mind with respect to increasing the productivity of the land. So as the productivity increases in due time, I would try to relocate them from the places that I would have relocated them to in the first place, and try to engage them in agricultural activities and their build their land occupation, so to speak, from there.
Okay. So let's go to your home state. You are currently staying in Jharkhand.
Ji sir, Bokaro
So
Steel City.
Bukhara Steel City. So can you give me some stats about livelihood options that is available in your state?
Mm,
How much people are involved in What kind of livelihood? Do you
Mm,
have any data? Are you aware of the livelihood data that your state has, or like how
uh,
many people are involved with agricultural related livelihood? How many people are involved in mining and other semi-industrial?
I don't know about mining, but so Jharkhand primarily it has a dominant, like not a dominant population, but close to 30% of its population is tribal. And out of that, 26 to 30% of the tribal community, 90 to 95% of them reside in rural areas. So, and this state dominantly is resource rich. It's full of minerals. Uh, it's full of factories. So a dominant part of the population works in factories, works in the manufacturing sector, and the other half, which is located in the rural areas, it's involved in fragmented agriculture.
Okay. So if we are like, if we see the livelihood of those people who are working under factories and other mining areas, so what are their challenges? Matlab, if you try to assess their livelihood, so in what way you will assess them?
Uh, Assessing their livelihoods, like
Hmm.
you
Like,
want me to reflect on how their work
matlab,
condition is very
how
bad.
working condition and everything, matlab, like social security or everything.
So much of these people that we're talking about, they naturally belong to the informal sector, and informal sector by its very nature is devoid of a large number of social security measures that are in place for that are in place for the other sectors of the workforce. So there is a proper lack of implementation of providing them with these social security measures. This is like on the welfare front, and also mm,
Okay, Anurag. So coming to your profile, can you brief about your all the experiences that you have in terms of working or uh, in the corporate or whatever freelance work that you have done?
so I'm basically a hotel management graduate. I graduated from this college called IHM Aurangabad in Maharashtra. I graduated from there in 2018, and since then I've interned at various hotel properties across Bangalore, New Delhi, Goa, and Bombay. And I began my professional career as a sales executive at a hotel revenue and sales company from Gurugram. I was in charge of corporate sales and revenue management for multinational hotels located in the UK and the Portugal and that region. So for a better part of my professional timeline, I've also been involved in working multiple jobs to, to, to primarily to generate extra income. I've worked as a call agent, a call travel agent, and I've also worked as a tour guide um, for these adventure tour operators that you see in places like Manali and Rishikesh.
So how do you find that your all these profiles or your learnings that you have done is suitable or can help you in your future endeavor with this course?
So I could always draw from my experiences. So talking about just my work experiences as a professional, I could always draw from my experience as a sales professional in the hotel sector, in terms of my communication, in terms of my soft skills, and also in terms of, if you will, my marketing orientation. If I had to come out of this course with a view to start something of my own, uh, if I had to seek job positions in this sector, although there would be an initial adjustment provided that it is a career switch, I believe it's something I can pick up quickly based on my current skills. And add to that the experience that I'll be undergoing if I had been if I underwent this course, and based on this course's extensive research and fieldwork based pedagogy, I believe it's going to be a worthy addition to my already existing skill sets, both educationally and practically.
So if I'll say to compare your, let's take two situations. One is that you are going along with your current career profile, whatever you are doing right now, or you have done till last you have left the job. So if you'll go back to the job and start a career progression with that, and the second when you'll do the LSE course, and after that you'll be getting any job. So if I'll say to compare these two paths, so how do you compare that?
Mm, I cannot give you a comprehensive picture of how I will end up as a professional after completing this course, because naturally I haven't undergone through the course curriculum as a student. But if I was to continue as a if I had to continue in my sector itself, I would probably be seeking out the same kind of opportunities that I had. I would probably be working in corporate. I would probably be working at the same company that I was working at. But I decided to leave it because I primarily wanted to pursue further studies. Now, that decision, the why I wanted to leave it, it was a combination of various factors. And like I could answer the why in various parts, but I wasn't keen on continuing there anymore based on how much I wanted to pursue further studies.
So what kind of career progression you will have in LSE? Let's say you don't know about it, but still you must have some vision that what you would be doing after 5 year or 10 year, with this course structure or with this learning that we'll be getting at LSE.
So I have leanings toward entrepreneurships, and it has a personal dimension to it as well as to why I want to pursue this course. Now, so in the middle of deciding this course, this the livelihoods and social entrepreneurship. So this was last year. I got involved in a personal venture, a pet project of my own. It was actually setting up a small business sometime around June in 2020. It was a 10 by 10 feet poultry shop that I financed out of my own. So the idea was to lease it out to these two childhood friends of mine. Now these people are district level football players, but were struggling to make their ends meet because they also did not have the best financial background because the parents are contract workers at the steel plant in my city. So I leased it out to them and I left them with the operations, selling the chicken shop. It was a poultry shop, by the way, selling the chicken, etc. And wherein I was to charge them a basic rent, to cover up my costs. So the shop became operational within a couple of months and started to generate sales and grow. So my idea was to ensure that these friends of mine were provided with some employment and that the money they made served as a good side income in times of struggle, in times when people like them could really use some additional income. So coming back to the question, this whole experience, it became kind of an immediate push factor in terms of how I aligned myself to the course. And I already knew about TIS as a postgraduate institution. It's academic and research and field-based study environment. So factoring in all of that with my desire to pursue further studies, with my learning outcomes from this venture, it kind of made sense for me to take a dive into an academic understanding of the issues of the financially vulnerable community, if you will, because I observed how increased financial security changes the way people function, the amount of work they put in to maintain it. And also, it was on many levels of validation. So, this is where my personal dimensions come into this as to why I want to pursue further studies in this particular course. It was because on many levels, this whole experience was a validation of my own interest and commitment to individual financial freedom, something that I believe this course is also built around. Now, by the time that I found out that I could pursue a course which is based around and talks about social work solutions of the nature of enterprise creation as a form of an alternative approach to livelihoods, and understanding of livelihoods and understanding about the kinds of these economically vulnerable occupations that exist across sectors, and also the external threats to these vulnerable occupations, more so in the light of the pandemic. So that's how I became motivated to pursue further studies on this subject. It wasn't because I wanted to leave my prior uh,
Okay.
work just for the sake of leaving it and pursuing higher studies.
Okay. So last question for you is, do you know some government interventions or government policies that your state has come up with to solve the issue of livelihood?
Related, I mean, there are a lot of them, but like right off the top of my mind right now that I can think of related to livelihood promotion, employment, unemployment, I can think of the various CSR opportunity, the various CSR drives that are already in
No,
place by
I'm
the
talking about the government's intervention.
government interventions. Yeah, the first one that comes to my mind is the Swanidhi program, the finance, the loaning program for these street vendors in the light of the lockdown.
The
Uh,
government of Jharkhand is doing that.
no, that's a central flagship
No,
mission.
I'm talking about the state government's initiatives.
Mm, I can remember one initiative by the name of Jharkhand Ricksha Chalak Garima Yojana. I think it's defunct now, but it was primarily, I mean, there are a lot of these schemes based on these street vendors and these other uh, fringe workers that are there in the city, in the state. There's also so this is the only scheme that comes to my mind right now, and all the other ones
Okay,
are
so
central government
okay,
schemes.
let's go back to another last question.
All
So
right.
thinking this would be the last question, but I have one another question for you. So you have been working for sales also, है ना? At some.
Yes, sir.
So let's say there are a lot of products that the tribal people or other village people can provide, है ना? The product they can make at their house, and either they belong to like toys or wooden material or anything which is they can create and produce. So in selling them, because all other people who are the consumer in urban areas, they are looking for the cheaper solution for the product. That's why they buy the products which is coming from the factories, because anything which is being produced in a scale and in factory and in automated environment, that will be the cheap. So once the product has been made by those people, you know, like clothes or toys or everything, so they will be a costlier one, because that they are being made by the people by their hand, and they are not being produced in quantity. So how do you sell and how do you find market for those products? Like if you want to pitch those products and request people to buy it, what would be your pitch?
I think it has to be a combination of some newer marketing skills, which is based around uh, emotional persuasion. Basically, I mean, the kinds of goods that we're talking about, say, toys that are made by these communities, these poor communities with essentially no other income. It has to involve a suitable marketing strategy wherein we have to you have to persuade people based on it's so I have a term for this. It's called emotional persuasion. So we can use this to generate some kind of pathos, some kind of empathy for the people, and also along with the general marketing strategies that are there in place for promotion of such products.
So will there not be any way so that you can define the value with the price, not by asking emotionally to pay extra for the product?
Not just asking emotionally. If you had to justify the price, you have to educate people about what it takes to make them. These are people who are not who don't have access to mechanized forms of product creation. These are people who weave and do create objects out of their own hands. So and people understand this on some levels, and that's why they are ready to pay high levels in terms of how they understand that how much more of a personalized aspect that a product which is made out of hand carries.
Okay, chalo, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
तो मार्क्स जो हम तुम्हें देंगे, that would be 74. You can expect little extra than 74 also, but it would be minimum 74 for sure. सजेशन में कहीं कहीं पे क्या है कि all those time मतलब every time you don't have to be uh, rely upon whatever the information you have. मतलब you can look for other information. तो जैसे मैंने पहला क्वेश्चन पूछा था, एरिड एरिया है एंड एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड कम है और प्रोडक्टिव भी नहीं है ना, देयर आर नॉट अदर रिसोर्सेज, तो ये मैंने कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन तुम्हें दिए थे एंड आई वाज आस्किंग अबाउट कि क्या अप्रोच होगा. So rather than shifting them to urban areas, which is quite tough because you can't find employment at that place also, because
सर ये
urban area
हाइपोथेटिकल
also.
क्वेश्चंस पूछते हैं क्या, मतलब
हाँ पूछते हैं, बहुत ज्यादा पूछते हैं.
सर मतलब
इसमें
इसका
तुम
मतलब
ये
क्या
कह
हुआ, मतलब
सकते थे. हाँ क्या हुआ?
सर ये क्वेश्चंस का मतलब लाइक काफी आउट ऑफ द ब्लू रिस्पॉन्सेज आ जाते कभी कभी, लाइक द
हाँ
रिस्पॉन्स आई गेव वाज टोटली नॉनसेंसिकल.
हाँ, वही
तो
तो
ऐसा
मैं
केस
बता रहा हूँ
स्टडी जो
कि
हाइपोथेटिकल सिचुएशंस देते हैं तो
वो देते हैं,
इट्स वेरी
मतलब ऐसा नहीं
कंफ्यूजिंग
है कि
समटाइम्स.
नहीं देते हैं. बट ऐसे केस में आपको, हालांकि हम लोग पहले जब सब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस वगैरह कराते थे ना, तो वी यूज्ड टू टेक दिस
हम्म.
क्लास कि whenever you are providing some solution to anything or any एस्पेक्ट, तो आप कभी कभी आप ये बोल सकते हो कि आई नीड टू रिसर्च मोर, बिकॉज there can be n number of things that society can provide to the people and that can be converted into product and services, like their cultural component, their food habits, and what type of food processing they are doing, है ना, बिकॉज एरिड एरिया है तो वो कुछ ना कुछ करते ही होंगे, अपने मतलब एक्सपेरिमेंट किया होगा. So their music and their a number of other things local जो भी है, so you need to find resources out of their culture, their day to day habits and their living style. तो पहला तो ये होता है कि you could have asked या you could have said कि मैं थोड़ा रिसर्च करना चाहूंगा कि what other resources or what other products and services can be created by them, either from their resource, मतलब जो वहां पे रहते हैं उनके ही, या फिर हम ऐसा भी कर सकते हैं कि we can provide them the raw material, and if they are good in making something, if they are good in creating something, so and if they don't find uh, raw material resources for that, so you can provide them at their place only. तो पॉइंट ये है कि ऐसा नहीं कि कौन सा सोल्यूशन बेस्ट है और बुरा है. बात है कि आप रिसर्च एक ऐसी चीज है, when you say everybody will be happy, है ना, इवन द प्रोफेसर विल बी हैप्पी, रेदर देन रीचिंग टू अ कंक्लूजन. आपको कोई डेटा मिसिंग लगता है तो आप बोलो कि इस पे हमको रिसर्च करना चाहिए और करना, मतलब व्हेन यू आर गोइंग फॉर अ लाइवलीहुड ये प्रोफेशनल, सो यू हैव टू डू द रिसर्च कि ऐसा क्या है जिसको हम प्रोडक्ट और सर्विस के तौर पे बेच सकते हैं. एंड द लास्ट क्वेश्चन जो था जिसमें सेल्स का था, तो रेदर देन आस्किंग फॉर इमोशनली वो कन्विंस करने के लिए, यू शुड क्रिएट अ डिस्टिंक्शन अमॉन्ग फ्रॉम द कंपनी मेड प्रोडक्ट, है ना, क्योंकि वो सिचुएशन तो यही था कि सेम प्रोडक्ट अगर फैक्ट्री में बनता है तो दैट वुड बी चीप एंड सिंस वो मास स्केल पे बन रहा है, तो अगर आप उसी को उसी डिफरेंशिएशन को, डिस्टिंक्शन को एज अ ब्रांड इमेज की तरह क्रिएट करें, तो प्राइस के वैल्यू को मैच करने लगेगा, जो उनके दिमाग में जो वैल्यू क्रिएट होगी. बिकॉज हैंडमेड है तो पॉल्यूशन एनवायरमेंटल फ्रेंडली है ना, टॉक्सिक होने के चांसेस कम है ना, तो और इस तरीके से आपको मतलब वैल्यू जस्टिफाई करना बेटर आइडिया होगा. बट एनीवे, योर इंटरव्यू वाज वेरी गुड. थोड़ा मतलब कंटेंट वाले मार्क्स मैंने जानबूझ के थोड़ा कम किया, दैट विल बी मतलब इससे ज्यादा ही मिलेगा तुम्हें, तो यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट लिटिल मोर देन 74 आल्सो. और कैरियर वाला पॉइंट लास्ट टाइम से बेटर है, बिकॉज लास्ट टाइम इट वाज नॉट एट दैट वो सिंक, तो इसमें इम्प्रूव हुआ तुम्हारा. और एनालिटिकल पे भी तुम्हारा थोड़ा ज्यादा रहेगा, बट मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम वो थोड़ा थोड़ा चीज
एनालिटिकल मतलब सर कौन से क्वेश्चन पे?
वही जैसे पहला क्वेश्चन था, वन ऑफ द एनालिटिकल टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चन कि व्हाट डू यू थिंक इन एनी रैंडम सिचुएशन वेयर यू डोंट हैव प्रीवियसली, मतलब
उस
एक.
पे तुम पास ही करेंगे सर, उस पे हम जवाब नहीं देने वाले.
क्यों?
इंटरव्यू में क्या देंगे जवाब सर, डीसीडीएम थोड़ी है.
नहीं नहीं, ये होता है, ये पूछता है भाई, मतलब एवरी टाइम यू कैन एनकाउंटर सिमिलर टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चन. मतलब एक एमपीपी के प्रोग्राम में वन ऑफ माय स्टूडेंट गॉट अ क्वेश्चन लाइक कि इफ आई विल गिव यू 2.5 crore rupees in your hand, what will you do with that money in your village or in your area? So they give any kind of question, मतलब
सर इस पे थोड़ा ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग करें ना, लोगों को दीजिए ना थोड़ा ऐसा कोई केस स्टडी.
वो तो
क्या बोलते हैं
अलग
ये लोग?
बात है. लोग क्या
कोई भी
बोलते हैं मतलब.
सर इस पे लाइक